The reality is a lot of young people are faced with massive burdens, whether it's student debt and the crushing interest on top of that student debt, or it's the fact that they can't find housing. And Emma talked.
NDP Leader Jagmeet Singh was courting the youth vote today. He discussed his promise to remove all interest on federal student debt and to cap cell phone bills. Singh was appearing in Toronto, where he faced questions about his position on Quebec's secularism law. CBC's Ashley Burke is covering the NDP's campaign this week for us. Ashley?
Hey Vashi, we're in vote-rich Toronto, where Jagmeet Singh is targeting two Liberal ridings, including former NDP leader Jack Layton's riding Toronto Danforth. And even though we're in Ontario, Singh is facing a lot of questions post-debate today from media about his stance on Quebec's secularism law. It bans teachers, police officers, and other provincial employees from wearing religious symbols at work. Singh has said that he's against Bill 21, but that he won't interfere in an ongoing court case challenging the law. Now today he was asked by reporters again if he disagrees with the law, why not come out and say that an NDP government would intervene in the case?
There's a court challenge, and it's very important. I am a lawyer, and I think it's very important that I don't interfere in any way with a court challenge that's happening. And what I want to do instead is use my platform to win over people and show them that this is not a good idea. To divide people based on the way they look is not going to build a better world.
Singh said today that 60% of people in Quebec think that the secularism law is a good thing. That's a big chunk of voters in a province where Singh's polling in fourth and is in jeopardy of losing seats. He's flying to Montreal tonight and has some time tomorrow to try and change people's minds on this divisive issue. Vashi?
Thanks, Ashley. The CBC's Ashley Burke reporting for us from the NDP campaign. Conservative leader Andrew Scheer, meanwhile, promised today to help commuters in Canada's biggest city.
We'll prioritize projects like the Ontario Line and the Yonge subway extension here in the GTA, cutting down your commute.
Scheer says his government would fund two major public transit projects in the Greater Toronto area to help ease gridlock. He made that announcement in Markham before taking his campaign to Mississauga, just outside of Toronto. The CBC's David Cochrane is covering the Conservative campaign. David?
Well, Vashi, the day after debate night, Andrew Scheer jetted off here to the 905s to make a transit announcement. He's promising federal support for subway extensions that will help commuters who live in the suburbs and cities around Toronto. Now, the exact financing splits have to be worked out with the province, so the numbers aren't quite clear, though the politics is very clear. This is the make-or-break battleground for the Conservatives in this election, for the Liberals as well. But after a rough outing in the French language debate last week, the Conservative fortunes have somewhat dimmed in Quebec, and we've seen a surge in support for the Bloc Québécois. So while Andrew Scheer will certainly do well in Western Canada, that changing dynamic in Quebec, the math makes it simple, Vashi, that Ontario is the make-or-break spot for Andrew Scheer. He needs to win big here if he's going to win this election.
Thanks, David. The CBC's David Cochrane reporting on the Conservative campaign this week. Liberal leader Justin Trudeau visited Canada's far north today.
Canada is warming at twice the global rate, and our north is heating up at 3 times the global average.
Trudeau was promoting his party's plan to fight the effects of climate change. He flew into Iqaluit, Nunavut, where he met with Indigenous elders. The CBC's Hannah Thibodeau is covering Trudeau's campaign this week. Hannah?
Hey, Vashi, Liberal leader Justin Trudeau is the first leader in this election campaign to visit the North. Trudeau came here to highlight his environmental plan, and this is a place he dubbed the front lines of climate change. Northern Canada is warming 3 times faster than the global average, and he says his climate plan is strong, in particular because his government put a price on pollution. And today he didn't rule out potentially increasing the carbon tax down the road after 2022. By then, the price on carbon will be $50 per ton.
We've made very clear what our plan is to increase the price on pollution, and I know there are a number of economists out there who talk about need for a much higher price on pollution, but that is absent any other actions. And what we've actually done is a tremendous range of other actions on fighting climate change. That means that the plan that we've laid out to increase the emission, the price on pollution until 2022 is responsible and reasonable and ambitious.
Trudeau's rivals to the left, the NDP's Jagmeet Singh and Green Party leader Elizabeth May, say his government isn't moving fast enough. But Trudeau says if he's elected again on October 21st, a Liberal government will go further in protecting the environment. getting communities in Canada's territories like this one off diesel and instead powered by renewable energy, including hydro, by 2030, and promising net zero emissions by 2050. But exactly how they'll do that still isn't clear, Vashi.
Thanks, Hannah. The CBC's Hannah Thibodeau reporting on the Liberal campaign. Green Party leader Elizabeth May ventured into battleground Quebec today.
We will insist that we not build any new fossil fuel infrastructure because it runs contrary to the very survival of human civilization and our own children and grandchildren.
May says the Green Party opposes the construction of any new pipelines and that it supports Quebec's right to refuse any pipeline. She started her day in Montreal before making that pledge in Longueuil, Quebec, alongside local candidate and former NDPer Pierre Nantel. Finally, People's Party of Canada leader Maxime Bernier discussed an environmental measure in his platform. Speaking in his home riding in Quebec, Bernier said he'd give more money to Environment Canada to strengthen water protection. He, of course, also says climate change is not an issue. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.